गणानां त्वा गणपतिं प्रजापतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सेदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेर्भिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्रयवतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् ॐ नमो भगवते रुद्राय ॐ नमस्ते रुद्रमण्यव उतोत इषवे नमः नमस्ते अस्तु धन्वने बाहुभ्यामुत ते नमः या तयुषः शिवतमा शिवं बभूव ते धनुः शिवा शरव्या या तवतया नो रुद्रमृडया या ते रुद्रशिवा तनूरघोरा पापकाशिनी तया नस्तनुभाषन्तमया गिरिशन्ताभिचागशीः यामिषुं गिरिशन्तहस्ते बिभर्षस्तवे शिवां गिरित्रतां कुरु माहिगुंसीः पुरुषं जगत् शिवेन वचसा त्वा गिरिशाच्छावदामसि यथा नः सर्वमिज्जगत यक्ष्मगुं सुमना असत् अद्य वोचदधि वक्ता प्रथमो दैव्योऽभिषक् अहेकस्य सर्वाञ्जम्भयन् सर्वास्य यातु धान्यः असौ यस्ताम्रो अरुण उत बभ्रः सुमङ्गलः ये चेमागुं रुद्रा अमितो दिक्षश्रिता सहस्रशो वैशागुं हेडयेमहे असौ यो वसर्पति नीलग्रीवो विलोहितः उतैनं गोपा अदृशन्नदृशन्नुदहार्यः उतैनं विश्वाभूतानि सदृष्टो मृडयादिनः नमो अस्तु नीलग्रीवाय सहस्राक्षाय मीडुषे अधो ये अस्य सत्त्वानो हन्तेभ्यो करन्नमः प्रमुञ्च धन्वनस्त्वमुभयोराग्नियोज्याम् यास्य ते हस्त इषवः पराता भगवो वपा अवतत्य धनुस्वगुं सहस्राक्षशतेषु ते निषेव्य शल्यानामुखा शिवो नः सुमना भव विज्जन्धनुक्कपर्दिनो विशल्यो बाणवागुम् उता अनेसन्नस्येषव आभुरस्य निषङ्गतिः याते हेतिर्मीडुष्टमहस्ते बभूव ते धनुः तयास्मान् विश्वतस्वमयक्ष्मया परिभुजा नमस्ते अस्वायुधाय नताय धृष्णवे उभाभ्यामुत ते नमो बाहुभ्यां तव धन्वने परिते धन्वनो हेतिरस्मान् वृणक्तु विश्वतः अधो य इषुदिस्तवारे अस्मन्निदेहितम् नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्रयम्बकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिकाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति।
Om Shri Sai Ram, offering our humble pranams at Swami's divine lotus feet. Respected elders and my dear brothers and sisters present here today, we'll start today's workshop on attracting investment for research and innovation with lighting the lamp. I request respected Vice Chancellor Sir, Registrar Sir, Dr. Anand Sir, Dean of Sciences Pallavarwa Sir and Director Sir to light the lamp. Thank you, sirs. I request Dr. B. Pradeep to come over here and deliver the welcome address.
Offering our collective pranams at Swami's lotus feet, esteemed elders, dear guest, Dr. Anand Govindaluri garu, and my dear colleagues and research scholars, Sairam to one and all. Today it is one of the very important moments in the journey of our university's innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. The foundation of this, the first program related to this, while the incubation center is being set up and established, is how do we attract investments so that we can do cutting edge research and take our innovations to a global scale. So it's our good fortune that we have Dr. Anand Govindaluri garu, who is more of an insider, a Sai brother, and our own faculty, professor of practice, who will help us through this one-day workshop. As part of this workshop, we will have first the keynote speaker speaking and addressing the audience. Then there will be a hands-on session where some of our faculty and students, 3 of us, who have ideas will be presenting and pitching, and they will be mentored by Anand sir. This session 2 will be closed session. It will not be live telecast on YouTube. The session 1, the keynote speech, as well as session 3, where there will be interactive session in the afternoon, will be live telecast through YouTube. So without wasting much time, I request our Vice Chancellor sir to give an introductory note. Thank you.
Sairam, offering my most prayerful salutations at the lotus feet of our revered founder chancellor, Dr. Anand Govindaluri, of course, President of Institution Innovation Council, Professor Pallav Kumar Barwa. I don't think any of you sort of need anything about him to be said about him. And my young colleagues, Dr. Shrikant, the registrar and director of the campus, and all the colleagues and my dear research scholars. Well, this word entrepreneurship is absolutely new to me also in a very personal sense. But somewhere along the journey, I did learn about it, even my earlier avatar in other institute also. That was a very simple thing. It was like, if I'm putting 10 rupees, I may not make 20 rupees. How do I realize that 10 rupees? And then whatever further expenditure on that particular facility, how do I keep it self-sustained mode? That was what the idea was. And particularly that was more centered around space technologies. And I did not realize at the end of the day, whatever I set up as Space Science Center and some of the very complex missions, we developed several technologies, many of them, starting from even, I would say, setting up we are one of the first to set up what is called a space grade or semiconductor grade clean rooms, and which is actually a very critical requirement for particularly extreme UV domains. Any missions in extreme UV domains, not only setting it up, how do you even qualify that and afterwards maintain that and keep, sort of saying that, yes, this facility still meets those numbers, whatever is required. That was a long journey. I mean, we did, there was nobody in India those days, I'm talking about early 2000, talked about some of these things. Semiconductor industry was not heard of. There were no facilities at all. Even the pharma industries did not talk about those kind of facilities. So that's why we traveled quite a long distance, where I had, fortunately, some consultants who were very keen on learning this. It was a, collective journey. And we did some experiments of similar kind in with Dr. Kiran Kumar, who was, finally he retired as a chairman ISRO. And because he was also planning to set up one at, Space Application Center, Ahmedabad. And then he invited me over there. And there we did a first experiment, what is called class 10,000 clean room, basically for optical metrology and semiconductor integration and testing. Semiconductor, it's not a fabrication, it's in only sort of integration of semiconductor chips, making PCBs and not even PCBs, it's more for optical detectors, large format detectors and kind of things, and how do you qualify them. And then as we moved along, and then for the missions which we were working on, which it required, class 10 or ISO standard 2 or 3 kind of cleanliness. And the demand was, people always talk in terms of when you say cleanliness is a particulate contamination. No, it is not so. There's much more to cleanliness than just the, the dimensions of the particle that you define, how many what size particle, in a 1 cubic meter of air. That's typically the definitions. If you go by, clean room definitions, you get that. But this is more of what is called chemical contaminations, molecular contamination, what we call. And we had to devise our own experiments and then set up those and qualify those experiments, calibrate them with some international standards, available standards, and use multiple methods to say that this test does work. And it means there's a lot of simulations also we had to do, and also a lot of measurements, and repeat them and ensure that it works. So it was a very long journey of about 15, 20 years. Just to cut the whole thing short, it was a very, very, very interesting journey. That time, this word, what is called entrepreneurship, and none of them were talked about, frankly speaking. And then when the space startups started coming up in Bangalore, we found practically every one of them visited our facility to learn, okay, as how to go about that, how to do those things. Because whatever the space domains you talk, whichever, spectral range you talk about, you still need them, some of them to some extent. And later on, also the space qualification procedures. See, again, space qualification procedures are very unique for every mission. And science, astronomy missions particularly are much more challenging in demand for all of this. And when you want to break the protocol saying that, you build first in what is called engineering model, or which is primarily for what I would say is the dimensional, fitment and mass and dimensions. Then you build another model called qualification model, which goes through all the rigorous, space qualification protocols, maybe one level higher than that. It includes launch loads, depending on the way the, your payload is mounted. Sometimes some of these things will experience 30 times the gravitational force when the launch happens. How do you qualify that? How do you maintain the rigor? And thermal, the other, several space missions fail because of thermal design and qualification. So how do you do all? There's a lot of these things that comes in, and we had to do, sort of do all of that. And to cut cost, we went, see, it's actually qualification model, engineering model, qualification model, and flight model. And even then, till it is launched, you will never know. Then what's called flight spares, okay? And we don't have so much of money, it's too much of investment over there. So my team really worked very hard, and we straight away went for what is called proto-flight model. And of course, 2 missions, very successful, and giving a lot of science data. Now, what is surprising is that these startup companies came to us, even today, all of them use our facilities. And all the engineers who worked with me till the time I came here, every one of them are working, picked up by these companies. So it's a continuous process. The facility, which is what we generally call as white elephant, and let me assure you, much more than our CRIF, costs. It's self-sustained mode, and the engineer now whom I hired, he tells me, sir, now we are making money out of it. So it's like what I'm trying to say is this research component involved over here, and innovative technologies come out of that when you want to solve some unique problems. Okay, and you always have some entrepreneurs who want to, take that to market. And then, of course, finally the investors come in. Investors always look at what do they get in return. So it's a very, very important, it's a very sort of, closed cycle. And all of them are required for success over here. So our situation also is not different. And as Swami said, our research should be primarily focused towards societal requirements. All of us know that. And every one of you is working towards that. And here the research doesn't mean only the labs. It could mean, I was talking to one very senior, person of TCS, Tata Consultancy Company. And I want to be gender neutral over here. Heads the, what is called R&I, because Research and Innovation Division of TCS. The number of patents they have filed, TCS, see, they have, the process, protocols, tools, including HR methodologies. Every one of them, and apart from, the core research team which works in Pune, they have labs and various things. A lot of things are there. More than the actual, the research lab's outcome, the other tools they develop to optimize the functioning of the company itself are patented, and they generate a lot of revenue out of it. So it means that it includes, IT tools, HR tools, name it, management tools, whatever it is, including financial, modeling, every one of them. And the number of patents they generate is very high. You can see that, when they publish their annual reports, you will see them in that. So I would like our faculty and students to remember that the innovation could be in any domain. It's not confined only to our research labs. Okay, and if you look at it, everyone has that innovation potential. It's just that we don't realize that. See, most of the time, we always, see, typical Indian concept of jugaad is always there. Okay, it's always, see, Indians are the best in that. If you look at it, there are a lot of such things which we think, yesterday I saw some small video clip somebody sent me. The farmers do this, grounding of various pulses and things that. This person had a very, innovative, remote village. He built that, the pestle and that kind of system, entire thing, and he tied his bike to it with a long thing. See, we used to have cattle, earlier to even, grind motors and all the stuff. And this was going around and round. The bike he put in first gear and started it, and it was going round and round. And one person doing the entire work, which was absolutely labor intensive. See, that is what I would say is, we have that, even a simple farmer in a remote village has this, idea. I'm sure in an environment like us, we should be having much more of such kinds, okay? And we are very lucky because our research direction is given by Swami himself. And we find these days, a lot of innovations are coming into picture. A lot of people who are interested in taking our technologies, I see that. And the institute itself, the management itself is, very, very proactive on that, and including Central Trust, our funding agency. We were very successful, we even established the Section 8 company now. And I think as I hear that our this BioNest project also is very likely to come through because the reviews have been extremely good. Hopefully we will be able to hear something from them soon. And of course we have, more than anything else, we have Professor Pallav Barua who drives everybody. Okay, that passion and commitment is also very, very important. And again, in such an ecosystem, we should see that we are really fortunate to have that ecosystem over here because we have a lot of passion and commitment to our ecosystem. Okay, generally you don't find people traveling all the way from their country, coming over here, spending time. That shows the level of commitment. And we are extremely fortunate today to have him over here, a person who is sort of into our ecosystem. He completely understands what Swami wants, what everybody wants, and anything that we want to take it out. and he's here to handhold us. Okay, that commitment of his, if it is not there, then he will not come. Probably it will all stop in WhatsApp messages and emails. It didn't happen that way. He has come here all the way. And of course, we had some exchange in the morning, which I don't want to reveal to everybody. Various things, how Swami himself, most of the time, draws people to himself. And of course, Professor Pallav and Shrikant know that. There are a couple of more people also who are interested in talking to us and, being part of us. And my own, request to all our colleagues over here and all the student fraternity, please try to convert every idea of yours. Nothing is, what I would say, is something which you may feel so, but discuss with your seniors, discuss with your faculty members, discuss with some, like-minded people. You will find there is something which is unique about it. Probably it has a potential for, users in other domains also. See, that's where you try to take it to multiple domains, and then you might find, you might create your own entrepreneurship over here, a startup company, and then take it to market. See, don't worry about success. See, people say a lot of, today morning I was reading a news clip, and I just sent it to Pradeep also. There are about 10,000, biotechnology incubators in the country now. I mean, not incubators, sorry, startups. Okay, startups. And almost about 10% of them are extremely successful. Not that others are complete failures, no, not at all. It's a question of sustaining, the investments into all of them to take it to next levels. So, it's a real challenge for everybody. But we are trying to build an ecosystem over here through our, Research and Innovation Foundation, where people like, Dr. Govind and all like-minded devotees come forward and support these things. So if we do not make best use of that, see, when a person supports a system, he or she also will look at it. Would it really lead to some kind of, changes in society or anything for that matter? It's not that they're always interested in making money out of it. Please don't think on those lines. There are any number of investors. For them, investment is for societal cause. Money is a secondary issue over there. Money is a secondary issue for them, actually. It will happen. Some of them will happen, some of them will not happen. So it's always the case. See, I mean, I'm sorry to quote you, Dr. Govind, and when I see his profile, there are about 70 or 80 he has invested. Okay, it means that even though I'm sure he's going to talk about it, quite a bit about it, and then you find that not that all of them have been very successful. Okay, and couple of them became unicorns. Okay, and then what we should look at it, after they became unicorn, he didn't say, look, I'll quit now, I'm a rich man, I'll keep off. It didn't happen that way, right? He's continuing in the journey. It is not because people like him want to help the society further and further. That's the reason why they continue to start believing in, young entrepreneurs who have some very good ideas. Okay, and our ecosystem here itself, what we have built. Please, I request all the faculty members, shed all your inhibitions, look at having your own startups, if you have good ideas with your young scholars and students, and see how we can take it forward. I'm very confident that Swami will send people like Dr. Anand. There are many people like that who want to come and work with us, but make best use of it. Don't disappoint anybody as much as possible. So, welcome Dr. Anand. So look forward to, it's not one day event, he's going to be here always, because whenever Swami when somebody comes into Swami's hold, particularly in the closer this one, they can never get out of that. Okay, so it's one such situation for you also. And what I was surprised to see is yesterday, for all the meetings and things that I saw him, serving food, Narayan Seva outside. Okay. See, that is something that's, it's very difficult to, converge on these things, standing on the street corner and being part of a Narayan Seva activities going on. It talks a quite a bit about a person. So please, I request all of you to make best use of the opportunity, learn as much as possible from his journey, and people like him are always there to reach out and help you out. Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Offering my most humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagavan, respected Vice Chancellor Sir, Registrar Sir, President, Faculty of IIC, dear brothers and sisters, Sai Ram to all of you. Today I have the honor and privilege to introduce the keynote speaker of today's workshop, that is Dr. Anand Govindaluri Sir, a distinguished leader in the fields of investment, innovation and biotechnology. Dr. Anand is the founder and CEO of Govin Capital, a Singapore-based investment firm established in 2014. Under his visionary leadership, Govin Capital has successfully executed over 65 investments with 20 notable exits, including 2 unicorn exits in the biotechnology and pharmaceutical sectors, which is an exceptional accomplishment by any global standard. Prior to founding Govin Capital, Dr. Anand held several senior positions of influence. He served as a senior vice president and head of the investment and spin-off management division at Accelerate Technologies, the commercialization arm of Agency for Science, Technology and Research, Singapore. He was key member of direct investment life science team at Temasek Holdings, where he co-led numerous investments across the healthcare value chain. Dr. Anand's responsibilities extended from lead sourcing and due diligence to serving on corporate boards and managing strategic exits. Beyond his corporate achievements, Dr. Anand has also contributed meaningfully to the global innovation ecosystem. He served as president of the Federation of Asian Biotech Associations, as an advisory board member of the Singapore MIT Alliance for Research and Technology, and as a mentor and judge for prestigious platforms including Startup Singapore, Startup Chile, and Leak 1U Business Plan Competition. Dr. Anand's contribution have earned him numerous accolades, including Asia Pacific Innovative Education Leadership Award, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and several academic honors such as NUS Postgraduate Research Scholarship, GATE Fellowship, DBT Merit Scholarship. During COVID, Dr. Anand extended his services by distributing oxygen ventilators, ICU medicine, etc. across Singapore and India. Today, we are privileged to hear from a visionary leader whose work spans across disciplines and even continents. He is a leader whose dedication to science, innovation, and humanity serves as an inspiration to all of us. Not delaying further, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Anand Govindaluri.
Sai Ram Swami. Swami, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be here. It has taken 35 years for me to be worthy enough to stand here. Thank you very much. At least now, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here. I thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor. I thank Dr. Pallava Barogaru and everybody who have assembled here to listen to this particular talk on how to attract venture capital investments. It's actually a strange serendipity, or it's also a strange coincidence, because Puttaparthi, you come to surrender everything, Tyaga. And here, Dr. Pallava Barogaru is a very intelligent person. He put me in a spot by saying that you must speak anything but Tyaga. So I have been assigned this topic, attracting which is anything but Tyaga, a venture capital, which is anything but Maya. So everything is Maya only. So whatever I'm going to share with you is all about how to succeed in a Maya world. And of course, now it is very difficult for all of us because at one end, we are Swami's disciples. On the other end, we are actually also want to excel in our profession. So what is this, what you call Dharma Sankatam? How do we excel following Swami's principles, where Swami says that you should be completely, you should surrender your ego, surrender your, what you call, your pride, surrender your money, everything. And then on the other end, then in the world of business, we have to excel in business. So I'll tell you one thing, what I have done in my life, like what sir has said earlier. See, for me in business, when I enter into a boardroom, I'm a tiger. When I'm outside the boardroom, I'm a devotee of Swami. So that means the moment I step out on the street, I'm nothing but just ash. So that ego and the pride has to go away. Completely, you have to essentially have two compartments in your mind. One compartment is excellence in your profession, so that nobody can question who you are and what you're doing. The other compartment is your own connection with God. So you should never mix the compartments. So what I've noticed is that a lot of people, they mix. When you mix, then you ask funny questions. Is making money important? If money making is not important, how do you think this institute will survive? How do you think jobs will be created? How do you think economy will flourish? You take the example of Singapore. Singapore's population is about close to 6 million. 6 million is even just 1/3 of one city of India. But what is the GDP of Singapore? Few $100 billion. What percentage of the GDP they invest in innovation? Close to about 2.5% to 3%. And who is the largest foreign direct investor in India? India, how big it is? 1.4 billion people. We all know that, right? It's moving towards 1.5 billion people. And we are a huge country. But who's the foreign direct investor? The largest foreign direct investor in India? Singapore. How is it possible for Singapore, being such a tiny country of a very small size, to be the #1 FDI investor in a large country like India? It's because of the power of wealth. Now, what Singapore has taught me, I have completed 27 years in Singapore. This is my 28th year in Singapore. What Singapore has taught me is purpose. You should earn wealth for a purpose. When you have purpose in life, things will be easier for you to manage. Like say, for example, what was the first purpose in my life? I came from a very ordinary family. My father was a PhD scientist at CSR, in a CSR lab. You know how PhD scientists are? All of you are PhD scientists. We have everything except vitamin M. So same case at home also. So father always used to work very hard. Mother used to say, what is the use of all these degrees? After PhD, my father had 3 degrees. So she was not really comfortable understanding what was happening at home because there was always a shortage. And then, but my father was a man of values. He's no more. He's a man of values. And he said, invest in education. That's the advice he's given me, and that's the advice even my mother has given me. The advice my mother has given me is essentially be very calculative in taking risks, but take risks. So mother advised me to take risks, calculated risks. Father advised me to invest in education. The combination of that two is what you see today. So let me just, go into my first, hope it works. So who am I? Of course, sir has introduced me, and but I must formally introduce who am I. What is my track record and what capacity am I standing here? Swami actually sent me to Singapore, and I was weeping when I left India, 1997. He said, you go there, it will be good for you. He's already planned a lot of things. He plans for everybody, right? And he has a soothsayer. I tried to come back to India in 2009. And being big size, I wrote a letter. I gave it to Swami. He looked at me, he said, then the second time again I went and said, I want to come back. This is my letter. Swami said like this, So which means the time hasn't come at that point of time. So he knows exactly what kind of incubation a person has to go through. So we all have to go through our own transformation experience. And the transformation experience is the learning experience of life. So this is what I have achieved so far. I have actually invested in about 67, 68 companies. All these are deep tech companies. I'm a specialist in deep tech, life sciences, pharmaceuticals, med tech, manufacturing. So that's what Singapore has taught me. And this is across 20 years, not across 10 years, but across 20 years, of which I have failed 20 times in 20 ventures. And failures are very important, because only when you fail, you learn the importance of success. You also learn what is right and what is not right. Success is all about failure management. I repeat myself, success is all about failure management, and it is also about managing risk. How do you manage risk? Both personally as well as professionally. And then obviously, investments is about not just failures. So if it is all failures, then I would not be standing here. I've also been blessed with some successful exit. Exit is a term that is used when you make money. So if you put $1, you get back $2. So that's a successful exit. So I've had 23 such exits, and the rest are privates. And of course, over the course of my profession, I've also been blessed with 2 unicorn exits. Unicorn is a company which has exited at a valuation of $1 billion plus. So this is all a journey, and this journey is what I'm going to share some of them. So these are some of my companies that I've invested in. If you look at Iden is a spin-off from MIT. How many of you have heard of MIT? Not Maharashtra Institute of Technology. What is MIT? I came to know that India also has got MIT, Maharashtra Institute of Technology. Manipal Institute of Technology. MIT is Massachusetts. Where is it based? In Boston. The pinnacle where you have Nobel laureates, maximum number of Nobel laureates coming out. So I walked into the lab of Bob Howitz. So before I walked into the lab of Bob Howitz, so you see these contacts don't come to you, you have to find out. So I wanted to basically make investments in the field of cancer biology. And Bob Howitz is one of the leaders in cancer biology. So I went to his lab. I thought that it would be a fantastic lab. Believe me, his lab was actually nothing but fantastic. It was a very ordinary lab. It had cobwebs, a lot of papers spread here and there. And Bob comes with a very crumpled shirt wearing, and hair is totally messed up. He sits down, he talks about his science. He's one of the thought leaders in apoptosis. How many of you have heard about apoptosis? Raise your hand. 2 people. 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Many people know apop. What is apoptosis, Amma? Cell death. Good. Very good. So apoptosis is a mechanism where the cell dies, right? So he's one of the thought leaders. So what he's done is that he's come up with an inhibitor, caspase inhibitors. So lead targets, which essentially inhibits caspase, because when you have caspase inhibitors, they play a very powerful role in treatment of fatty liver, alcoholic hepatitis. Big problem in the US and also globally, because wherever people are drinking too much, then liver gets spoiled. So Bob is actually one pioneering scientist. He's sitting on close to about 15 or 16 patents. And I told him, look, what are you doing with all these patents? I went and evaluated the patent, just like I requested, sir, please give me access to Puttaparthi. He gave me access to Puttaparthi. So I went through all the patents, and he said, look, we'll take 6 of your patents. We'll spin it off into a company. So we took 6 of his patents, put it into a company, and he said, we need to raise some money. So the number was around 20 million or so we had to raise to develop those patents into commercial product. And then the funny thing came about was valuation. So he said that, look, give me $60 million. Each patent about 10 million, so 6 patents, 60 million. I said, no, I can't give you $60 million. I'll give you maybe around 20 million. So he thought about it. He said initially no, because it's too low a value. But as an investor, what Swami says, you have to be a good man, you have to be a good businessman. So you have to be a good man, you also have to be a good businessman. See, in profession, please don't mix profession with spirituality. So what I have to do right is I have to do right. So I negotiated $20 million, and I got the company. We set up a company called Iden Pharmaceuticals. We got some other investors also who actually pooled in. So usually investors syndicate together, they pool in, and we started this company, which is a very early stage. research and development company, R&D company. So they had no data in animal studies. So we had to do the studies in animals. Then we had to do in phase 1 and phase 2. We did everything. And at phase 2, the data was so good that it got acquired by Pfizer for, I think, few $100 million. And that was a big success. Subsequently, Bob got Nobel Prize in medicine for his work on apoptosis. So he's one of the very few Nobel laureates we have backed. I've also invested in 2 other Nobel laureates. And both of them, they helped me to lose money. So what I'm trying to tell you is that being a PhD or being a postdoc scientist or being a scholar with deep knowledge in publications is not a barometer for you to make money. I always remember what my mother used to say, your father has got 3 degrees after PhD. Em labam? That's what she used to say. Literally, em labam? Literally. This was the exact words. Okay? And Papa, my father was being very broad-minded. He's like all the items put on a banana, what you call, plate. He would always be humble. He said, okay, never mind, ladies will speak, let them speak. That's the real situation at home. But what message I got is that, see, you please understand what I'm trying to tell you is that you don't have to be a PhD to make money. You don't have to be a Nobel laureate to make money. To make money, you need to understand that it is an art. It is an art that you have to learn. So the first and foremost message I want to share with all of you is that commercialization is not a bad thing. It's an art. Just as you are a Swami's devotee, in Swami's devotee, what do you want to do? You want to actually, see, one day in one of the interviews, Swami said, one of the students asked, Swami, how should I come to you? Should I wear neat clothes, neat pants? Should I put perfume? Then Swami said, Bangaram, when you go to a movie theater, how do you go to a movie? Kotta batlu eskuntavu, dantarada chakkaga scent eskuntavu, you want to impress your partner, so on and so forth. So for going to a movie, you do so much of rehearsal. For coming to God, how much rehearsal you have to do? So that is why I think it is important for, just as we excel in spirituality, you should excel in business. If you do not excel in business, then you're doing disservice to yourself, you're doing disservice to your institute. And I'll give you some examples in my talk as to how some institutes have excelled. Okay? And one of them is Cambridge. I'm a big fan of Cambridge because recently I was there in Cambridge. So these are some of the companies. So, and so Replidan is actually the company of, is a work of James Black from Colorado. Corgentic is from San Francisco, the work of Victor Zhao. All these are scientists like you. Victor Zhao is from Stanford. Marline Pharma is Singapore. It's into drug discovery. Renovo is out of Manchester. BioVex is out of University College London. Work of David Latchman and Rob Coffin. Arpida is out of Basel. The work of Dr. Khalid Islam. Acute is out of Pennsylvania. Taurex is out of Aberdeen. Cyclacel is out of Dundee. Excite is in Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center. So you see, my experience has taken me to different parts of the world. So I've traveled to more than 100 cities globally. And my job is to walk into an institute, talk to scientists, see what work they're doing, and they speak. So the culture there is they're very open. Here, please sign CDA if you want to come and talk to scientists. In India, we are very inhibitive. We're very scared. That's an Asian mentality. Even in China also the same thing. Japan also the same thing. They're very scared. They don't talk much about their science and research. Whereas if you look at US and Europe, one of the reasons that ecosystem has flourished because they're very open, bindas. They talk about the work in a very bold manner and they were proud of their work. That's how you actually learn. Because when you're interacting with different experts, you learn what's the right way to basically maneuver your project, to navigate your project. Whereas in Asia, if you see, you can't even talk. You can't even talk because the scientist is scared that maybe the investor is coming to steal away the work or the investor wants to basically know about the work and then we don't share any information. In the process, what happens, the relationship essentially for commercialization or that ecosystem for commercialization is not flourishing. So one of the reasons why ecosystems don't flourish is because of the lack of mindset and the lack of what is called as an open innovation. So the future of innovation is all about open innovation. You got to be open-minded. So it's here that we have to first change. Then we have to change the surroundings around others. Okay, some other comes. So that's in biotech. In medtech also I made some investments. So medtech is medical devices. How many of you know what is medtech? What is the difference between biotech and medtech? Yes, what's your name? Yeah, what's the difference between biotech and medtech? Medical use, okay. It's a medical use. And biotech is more about therapeutics, right? Good. So in medtech also we made investments in Agilix. Agilix is a spin-off from University of Connecticut. How many of you have been to Connecticut? New Haven. You've been to New Haven? Have you touched that statue where before you write an exam, you have to touch a statue? It's supposed to be good luck. All the students, it's a belief there. You have to touch a statues then before you go and write an exam. Went for a meeting. You didn't go for sightseeing or anything. Okay, good. So Biosynthesis is a spin-off from LA and Singapore. It's in cardiovascular stents. HistoIndex is into basically liver scanning. So that's one of the very few successful startups out of A-Star. A-Star is equivalent of NIH, based in Singapore. A-Star stands for Agency for Science, Technology and Research. So I has the good fortune of working for them on the commercialization side. So that's one of the spin-offs from A-Star, HistoIndex. What is special about HistoIndex is that they do analysis of the liver sample, liver biopsy, without staining. So normally what happens when you take a biopsy for, you want to do cancer screening, so you have to stain, right? You have to chop into pieces, you have to stain, and then you have to essentially send it to the lab for testing. It takes about 2 to 3 days by the time the result comes out, right? And so it's a lot of manuals. So they have actually removed all the manual steps. So it's a light-based technology where you don't need any staining. So it's non-staining process. So you get the result in 30 minutes. So what is that impact? The impact is what takes about 2 to 3 days, now you're able to do it in 30 minutes. And it's all done in a device which is portable. So what is the advantage of that? The advantage is that you can take it anywhere in the world. So they're present in various parts of Europe and US as well as in China, yet to come into India. Then Hemex Health is a company based out of technology is from Case Western Reserve University. The founders are from Portland, Oregon. And they are into malaria detection and malaria detection and thalassemia and sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia, Government of India has actually come up with a mission to eliminate sickle cell from the population, especially which is very prevalent in this part of the world. Who knows what is sickle cell? Raise your hand. Yes, Amma, what is sickle cell? Wow, all of you are so intelligent, I don't know what I'm doing here, you're super intelligent. Yeah, really very good. Sickle cell is essentially the crescent cell RBC, right? So you are able to detect that now with the help of this technology. Usually the technology essentially, you cannot detect. Now with the help of this technology, you're able to detect in 10 minutes. And malaria, they're able to detect in 1 minute. And not only that, this is one of the very few companies where they have launched this detection for malaria. 1 minute, $1. $1 is about 80 rupees. So they're doing for 60 or 70 rupees. So this is the power of innovation, and this is the power of commercialization, that it's not just about money making, it's also about the impact you create in the process of commercialization. Audicor is into heart related. Intercell is a spin-off from University of Vienna. This investment I made in 4 working days. And Intercell is actually the work of Alex von Gabin from University of Vienna, and who worked with Max Brinstall. How many of you know Max Brinstall? Another Nobel laureate. So all of you must read the life stories of Nobel laureates. What I see you not doing is not reading enough. You got to read. Spend your time in the library, read weekly once, at least one book. One scientific innovation book you must cover. Because the more you read, the more you get ideas. Sometimes you don't have to be a genius. To be a genius, you should follow somebody else what they are doing. And then follow that, because they've already done that. So it's easier for us to be genius like that. So Intercell is the work of University of Vienna. And so University of Vienna is one place where they actually came up with a patch-based delivery. So in vaccines, actually, when you deliver, how do you deliver? Through injections. So they came up with patch. You just put a patch on the vaccine. So this got acquired by Novartis. One of the most successful investments in my portfolio. So in Intercell, actually, I can share with you I recommended an investment of $90 million. And we got back 2x, $180 million in about a span of about 3 years or so. So that's the kind. So you have to be also bold. You have to be risk-taking, calculative risk-taking. You have to be bold. If you're scared that, oh my God, what will happen? Maybe the money will be lost. Then you'll always be scared. You'll always be scared. So you have to have traits and characteristics within yourself to be successful. There are some investments in digital health. What is digital health? Anybody can tell me what is digital health? The new buzzword. What is digital health? Interface of life sciences with information technology. Some of the companies in the space, Control Bionics, EB Care. Control Bionics is out of Australia. EB Care is out of Singapore. It's into nursing. ReIoT is out of Bangalore. Greenland Labs out of Vishakhapatnam, HealthSati Vishakhapatnam, Care for You out of Bhubaneswar, Palash IVF and Selbis out of Pune, MX Health is already there. Okay, and then some education also. I'm an accidental investor in education. Actually, I didn't plan to get in education, became accidental investor. I was the judge at NTU, Nanyang Technology University in Singapore. So some of the students were pitching to me. So 2 students who were engineering students, age around 24, 25 years, they pitched to me this idea of CL4. CL4 is how do you essentially come up with helping students to go abroad into Ivy League schools. And so you actually end up coming up with a complete package, writing the statement of purpose and helping them to apply and so on and so forth. I like that idea because when I came to Singapore, or when I went to Singapore, okay, I must tell you this. When I got a scholarship to go to Singapore, the first thing I did is I went to a bookstore. I got a world map. I wanted to see where exactly am I going. I was actually doing research at AIMS, or Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi. And when I got this admission offer, I said, I have to go to Singapore now. First thing I did is I went to the bookstore to buy a world map to know where am I going. It took me about 5 minutes to identify where Singapore was. And on the map also, it's a small red dot below Malaysia. And then my friends were joking and they said that you will go there only for about few months and then you'll come back because people go there only for shopping. And this was in 1997. I told my parents also. And my father was saying that, why are you going to Singapore? I said, I'm going to Singapore because I got a research admission offer. So I said, no, but people go there only for shopping. And you go there, come back in 1 year. I said, okay, fine, I'll see what to do. So there were 4 of us who were shortlisted from India by National University of Singapore. And I was the only science student. And then that's how I landed in Singapore. Now it's a different matter that it ended up in 27 years of my life there in Singapore. That's a different matter, but we'll come back to it later. There are some companies. So CL4 essentially is a Sunicorn. What's a Sunicorn? It's not a unicorn, it's a Sunicorn. Sunicorn means valuation of around $500 million in the making. This company, which we seed invested in 2016 August, with a team size of four people. Today they have 250 people on the payroll. They have raised about $70 million. And I served as the chairman of the board. I was a member of the board. I'm very proud of this particular investment. I still have some shares in this company. So I'm very proud of this investment, that this has given the best returns. So for every 1 rupee I put in, I got 4 rupees on this investment. So see, what I'm trying to tell you is that, but behind the screens I can share with you, the strategy and the time that I involved with this company, with the founders, was like few hours. Our board meetings will last for about 8 hours, 10 hours, sometimes 2 days. When they wanted to expand to China, I went along with them to China. I spent some time there to understand how they're going to build the business. So as an investor, you have a responsibility, and the responsibility is that you have to guide the founders. And that's what I do. So I'm not a passive investor. I'm actually an active investor, helping them to build their companies. So for all the experiences that I've been in different parts of Europe, US, China, I've been to China 25 times on various due diligence missions, Australia. What I've seen is that you need to have an ecosystem. Without an ecosystem, you cannot commercialize technology. Now what is ecosystem? Let's see what is ecosystem. Let me play this video. Can you play this video, brother? This will tell you about the work I've done at A-Star.
As an A-Star scientist, you may have discovered or developed new materials or inventions in your lab. Some of these discoveries may have the potential to benefit society in a significant way, so you would like to start a company or business to bring it out to the commercial world. But without the experience, opportunity, or context to do so, you may be unsure where you should start and what it entails. The solution is ISM. Investment and Spin-off Management is one of the divisions of Exploit Technologies Private Limited, the strategic marketing and commercialization arm of A-Star.
The Investment and Spin-off Management Division at Exploit Technologies takes care of researchers at A-Star to create viable spin-offs. Our mission is to build successful startup companies that could contribute to the local economy in Singapore. The way we do this is to come up with good business plans by engaging with mentors in the industry and manage downside risk of the researcher's business plan. Our ultimate goal is to ensure that the technopreneur's interest is taken care and he is able to materialize his dream into a reality. In addition to this, we also have several workshops for the researchers that will focus on business plan, valuation analysis, fundraising, and deal making.
The business services provided by ISM are spin-off services, investment services, specialized accelerator services, technopreneur support scheme, exit support services. This is where ISM will help with formulating the technology and business roadmaps for new products, working closely with the scientists' founding teams and exploits commercialization divisions. Eventually, this leads to the development of detailed business plans to act upon, complete with valuation analysis and commercialization strategies.
Well, when we first started the company, the ISM team at Exploit Technologies was very useful to us. They have a very good business plan structure. It's assisted us in terms of getting the initial business planning worked out, which allowed us to see where we're going forward much clearer.
First thing ISM did for us was help us model our finances so that we could take that to VCs and raise funding. When we finally raised funding, then ISM was very helpful in helping us negotiate a better valuation, which is really important to us as startup founders. And having them in our corner helps our peace of mind because we are new to negotiating with venture capitalists and this whole startup process. So that was really helpful. And finally, recently, ISM helped us find an observer for our board, who is an ex-telco CEO. So we look forward to tapping his network and his ideas to expand into the enterprise market.
In investment services, ISM assists with deal structuring and investment documentation to ensure that new businesses have a proper financial and corporate structure in place as they go forward.
It introduced me to angel investors, corporate investors, and venture capital investors, and that helps me to bring the first investment to the startup company, which is often the most difficult step for many startup companies.
For example, we are currently discussing major investment deal with a local Singaporean investor, and then ISM is balancing the positions of Curiox and this investor and other shareholders of Curiox. And without the support of ISM, I don't think we would have gone through this smooth and satisfying all the needs of the parties involved in this negotiation.
ISM has helped us through our initial years, which were actually very difficult for us. What I find most useful during the past few years is actually their help in the finance and management expertise.
To help advance product development, ISM can arrange for specialized accelerators for new companies. These are managed by experienced entrepreneurs in various fields such as medtech, therapeutics and infocom, and cleantech. Recently, ISM initiated a scheme for researchers called the Technopreneur Support Scheme.
In the TSS, that is the Technopreneur Support Scheme, we engage mentors and catalysts who are industry professionals with a wide variety of experience in different aspects of business planning and starting a company. The whole intent is that the mentors and catalysts will work with our researchers and take care of the business plan, including fundraising.
As a mentor, I work with the researchers to help them take interesting and potentially scalable research ideas into successful businesses. I do that through helping them develop the research idea into a business plan which includes a business model, financial model, market analysis, understanding of the value proposition, and through working closely with individual researchers and research teams to develop these business plans.
For the last 2 years, I've been trying to start a company with little success. Being a research engineer is not so easy. Not a businessman. So ETPL introduced Mr. Guru Prakash as a mentor. With his lots of experience, he's helping me to do this spin-off.
My role as a mentor is to bring business value to the research products that these researchers have developed.
So for the last 2 months, we have started this business proposal and proposal for EDP funding and so on. So it has been great. He's been helping a lot.
So my job is to show them the value, commercialize the products, find the markets, help them make business plans, how to get funding for such activities, and how to move on by building a team in the commercial world.
So it's fantastic that he's on board.
As a final step, when the spin-offs have achieved success in the market, ISM will help them plan for the various exit strategies, such as IPOs, mergers, acquisitions, or trade sale.
So ISM has been helping us a lot all the way from the initial days when it came to elaborating how our technology can be turned into a sustainable business. And even in the future, we will need some guideline and some experience when it comes to dealing with potential buyers of the company when we are exiting and all becoming rich.
Then the cycle begins anew. ISM thus provides a steady and careful guiding hand for any scientific spin-off from the start to the finish of its journey. Whether from the biology, life science or engineering fields, it is a comprehensive one-stop center for all researchers who want to translate their work into viable commercial startups.
ISM's main principle has always been to help our researchers become successful technopreneurs, and we hope to see many more spin-offs in the near future coming from A-Star and also from the larger community in Singapore.
Since its inception, more than 30 companies have successfully spun off from the A-Star community with the guidance of ISM. ISM, your success is our success.
So that's my brainchild. So if you see, I took some bold decisions. Okay,
As an A-Star,
I took some bold decisions, and those bold decisions was to basically transform. So when I moved out of Temasek, joined A-Star, and I was dealing with more than about 5,000 scientists like you from different parts of the world. One of the biggest challenges I had even in Singapore was how to make a scientist to open up to the idea of commercialization and to the idea of entrepreneurship. And for that, the mantra that I followed was that initially I thought a scientist can be a very good CEO, but then scientists don't turn out to be good CEOs. They are actually lousy CEOs. So you should never dream to be a CEO. There are very few exceptions out there for everything. You should always try to get a mentor or an industry partner to come in, or an industry friend to come in as a CEO, and together work. And I've got some examples as to how a combination of a scientist and a business person together can actually produce a world-class enterprise. So here is a roadmap I'm going to share with you, and this is a very important roadmap. This roadmap talks about what happens in a scientific community, essentially in an institute. So TD stands for technology disclosure, right? So you have a technology, or you have working on an idea, and then you basically have to now speak to. So what I think I request our Vice Chancellor sir is, if at all, if there's one message I want to share today, is that you should set up a technology transfer office right away in the incubator. A technology transfer office which will have both IP management services as well as investment management services. And if my services are required, I'm more than happy to help in setting up the technology transfer office. That is what ISM has done. So ISM basically, the starting point is to essentially deal with scientists who are in the technology transfer, technology disclosure stage. When you're at the technology disclosure stage, often you want to understand whether you should file a patent or not, because filing a patent costs money. Costs money for the lab, for the institute, and for the organization, right? So you have to make some competitive analysis, some market analysis. Only if it is competitive, if it is subject to market conditions, then you should go and file a patent. Then what happens after that is that then you have to essentially manage it, incubate it in such a manner so that the different steps which are there in the commercialization process is achieved. So those milestones are achieved. And this is what is called as the incubation, the commercialization phase, which is essentially nothing but the phase which is a spin-off phase before it becomes a startup. What is the difference between a spin-off and a startup? A spin-off is which is still incubated within the institute. A startup is when you have set up a legal entity and you have brought it outside the institute. So there's a thin line that you have to draw between incubation phase and startup phase. Not every researcher will want to be a startup CEO. Some of you who are very clear that they don't want to be a startup CEO can think about using the technologies to partner with the industry and license to the industry. So commercialization of innovation from the lab need not be just in the form of a startup. It can be in the form of a license, it can be in the form of a spin-off, or it can be in the form of a startup. Startup is a mature entity, and it is the way that the world understands the business of commercialization. But that's not the only way to commercialize. You can actually be working on a technology disclosure, commercialization, and eventually spin it off or license it to an industry and get royalties or get payments whereby you benefit, your institute benefits, and your university benefits. Now, what is important here is you must understand how to essentially segregate the projects you have in your lab, which is industry focused versus basic sciences. So one of the things A-Star did is that they identified scientists who were applied in nature, and they identified scientists who were basic sciences. Like when I went to MIT and one of the gentlemen that I spoke, or one of the researchers spoke, is Professor Hargobind Khurana. How many of you have heard of this name? Okay. Dr. Pradeep, who is Dr. Khurana? Is a Nobel laureate? Nobel laureate. Yeah. So Dr. Khurana didn't get a job at AIMS, so he left India, went to MIT there. He got a job at MIT and became Nobel laureate. So when I went and spoke to Dr. Khurana, I asked him, would you like to actually commercialize some of your innovations? Because that's the first point of contact, when you go into MIT. He said, Anand, thank you very much for the offer, but my passion is towards undiluted science. I'm happy doing basic sciences. So you have to be very clear about what path you want to achieve in your life. Whether you want to be a basic scientist or whether you want to be an applied scientist. If it is basic science, then excel, come up with papers in Nature, Cell, and lift the name of the university, lift the name of the institute in whichever field you are getting into. So be an excellent source of inspiration in basic science. Let me also tell you one more thing, that applied science is a function of basic science. Those people who think that basic science is a waste of time, they're mistaken. Because only if your basic science is good, your applied science will be good. So the foundation for great companies comes from science. And if your science is good, everything else falls in place. If your science is not good, your innovation, your research is not good, or you're stumbling because you don't have access to capital, or you are stumbling because you don't have access to a microscope or a critical equipment, that to me is the road blocking step. That is what you have to overcome. So foreign countries like Singapore, you actually have all those resources in one place, because of which work happens in a very fast manner. And then there is access to funding. There's no bureaucracy. There's no corruption. And mentors, I should take care of mentors. You know how much I used to pay? I'm talking about 10 years back. I used to pay $6,000 to my mentors. Because I believe that mentor's time is very precious. If somebody is coming and guiding my startup, I should incentivize that mentor. Whereas the mindset in India is that if a mentor is coming, it is free advice. Just see how you can get done maximum without paying anything. Who will work like this? Who will work like, unless you are fully successful and satisfied in life, and you don't have to work for money, then those type of people, then you have to identify and you have to make them as a mentor. But most of the entrepreneurs or most of the industry professionals expect something. That is how this business works about. So you have to find a model. You have to come up with a model. The decision makers of the institute should come up with a policy to facilitate a favorable ecosystem for commercialization. Just saying that I'm going to build a building which is an incubator Section 8 company is not enough. Stop building what you call castles. Instead, invest in people, invest in your scientists. Ensure that every scientist, every PI, whatever the number is well funded with at least $1 million or $2 million. Then only you will see evolution of the product happening, because that takes a lot of time and courage. Okay, so going forward, this is how. So at that stage, you can see, I've already spoken about it, you can actually do a spin-off, or you can do an investment and go into a startup. So it depends on what area you want to get into, or you can license into essentially. So now between laboratory research and industry research, there is a gap. And that gap is what is called as commercialization of technology gap. So the university should come up with funding so that you can come up with that capital, necessary seed capital to fund your basic researches. An outside investor will not come and put money in you unless and until you prove that you're good enough. Only when you come to a certain TRL level, then an investor will come and say that, okay, now I'm ready to put money, because that's private money, and private money is very expensive. So I'll give an example of University of Cambridge. What University of Cambridge has done is that they have set up a corpus of 50 million pounds. And through that corpus of 50 million pounds, they set up what is called as Cambridge Enterprise. Do you know what Cambridge Enterprise success ratio is? How much they contribute? 18 billion pounds to the UK economy. Just one university, Cambridge. How many of you have gone to Cambridge? It is the most difficult place to go. From London, you have to take a train. It's a 1 hour 30 minutes. Very difficult. And if you have got slightly more money, then you can sit in a cab. That's about 220 pounds from London to Cambridge. Isolated area. There's no life. That university itself is a campus. That's it. There's no life after that. But then how come Cambridge is producing such phenomenal results? That's because of that ecosystem. That ecosystem that they've built, where they have seed money, where they back. Like if you are a local researcher, your boss will know how good you are. So then they will decide whether to put money in you or not. Then once you develop that technology to a certain stage of readiness, then you invite an investor, the investor will put money. Or you invite an industry, because the project is industry ready. With no industry will come. So the mistake that we are all doing here in India is that you're expecting industry will come and marry us. Why will industry come and marry us? They're the most selfish people. Corporates want some return on investment, and they want to have mature technology. So that's why we have to understand, we have to be practical about the way we are expecting things from the industry. These are some what you call the ecosystem that we have built in Singapore. And one of the most important component here is the industry collaboration. Without industry collaboration, it's extremely difficult to have a favorable technology commercialization ecosystem. So whether it is Cambridge, whether it is Oxford, the competition between Oxford and Cambridge is also quite competitive. It's quite rich. So Cambridge produces one unicorn every year. So in the last 10 years, they produced 10 unicorns, out of which 50% of them are in life sciences. So I asked the Vice Chancellor, and I asked some of the technology transfer managers, how you have done this? They have done this because initially seed capital comes from the university. Then every spin-off, every PhD researcher is actually motivated to do a spin-off. In fact, now I'm told that the Department of Computers there in Cambridge University has made it mandatory that any student who comes into Cambridge must come up with a startup idea. Second, once you do PhD, many of the talent, they go away to other countries. So to avoid that, they come up with a fellowship, a PhD fellowship. So that if you're a PhD scientist, when you come up with a startup idea, you're given the basic fellowship to start that company in Cambridge. If you're a postdoc scientist, you come up with an idea for entrepreneurship, you are given that basic funding to start. So what Govin has done so far is, inspired from Cambridge, we have started a fellowship. I'm very happy to share. It's called Professor Ella Pragada Subbarao GEM Fellowship. How many of you have heard about this? It's in collaboration with the University of Hyderabad. What we have done is that, inspired by Cambridge, we sponsor PhD students, 5 PhD students. Each one of them, they get 1 lakh rupees, only if they have a patent. This is to spur innovation in the mindset of PhD students. Only if they have a patent, then we sponsor them about ₹1 lakh per year. And this is my way of contributing to change that ecosystem. And this we started in collaboration with FABA. So under this particular fellowship, and I'm happy to basically share this if Honorable Vice Chancellor allows me to constitute this award in Puttaparthi. I don't know what the rules and regulations are, but if I'm given a chance, I'm happy to bring that fellowship into Puttaparthi so that it can be opened up to our scientists. So I don't know what is the fellowship that scientists get here, PhDs, I think around 50, 60, 70,000 rupees. So this will be an added stimulus to a PhD scientist. So I think what we can do is that we can bring that kind of, we can also extend this to postdoc scientists. We can extend it to scientists who are, so we can give them 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees per postdoc scientist who are essentially coming up with innovation and coming up with it. That is my way of contributing, because what I've noticed is that we are very good scientists. India has produced very good scientists, just like Singapore produced very good scientists. But we have not done a good job in managing science. We have not produced managers of science. If today, if there has to be somebody who has to talk to a scientist who has actually PhD and after PhD 3 more degrees like my father, the manager of science is not there. He's a very junior person. So I think what we need to do is, we need to invest in producing managers of science. So that's why the Technology Transfer Office is of immense importance. And within the Technology Transfer Office, you need to have an incubation service, you need to have an IP service, you need to have a what they call a spin-off service and an investment management service. Only when you have this comprehensive package, then you can be successful in commercialization. So that's some of the industry engagement that we have worked with. So let me quote former senior minister from Singapore, S. Rajaratnam. He says that in thinking about the future, we should approach it more like a chess player. The chess player plans his every move by thinking many steps ahead. A one-move chess player is cut by the time he makes his second move. So make no mistake, the business of commercialization is extremely competitive. It's not meant for those who are faint-hearted. It's not meant for those who cannot take risks. You got to learn to take risks. When I left my research career and I went into doing an MBA finance, my professor laughed at me. He said, what are you doing, you know? But I was very clear, I wanted to get into the business of biotech. So I was an early mover. And how did I take that decision? By praying to Swami. Swami only told me that go into that field. I remember very much, it was my mother, my father and myself, we were praying to Swami, and at that point of time we were taking a decision whether I should leave my research career, get into MBA finance, and then the decision came, yes, I should go, and that's how it happened. So we need to have those personal connections. What are the key success factors for technology startups? How do you basically build a success? So please take a picture of this slide. This is a very important slide. Please feel free to take pictures. First and foremost is that if you see, it starts with commitment and capable founders. So all of you who want to basically spin off a company, you are a founder. Then you need to build a strong management team around it. Okay? Then it comes with essentially with this particular point, that is mission-oriented, solving a real new need. There must be a what you call a problem statement, and that problem statement you must try to solve. What happens with scientists across the globe is that they come up with a solution first, then try to find what is the problem. Instead, you must first come up with the problem statement and find a solution for that. Okay? And there must be a real need for that problem. India is a luxury of problems. So I think that's why entrepreneurship will flourish very well. If you're too comfortable, then you won't see new innovations coming up. So I think you need to find and look at the ecosystem around you. Then look at focus on intellectual property, because all my investments have been only made on those companies where they have a solid intellectual property portfolio without an IP portfolio. So if you ask me why am I not investing in some of the companies where I'm on the committees or where I'm actually in university committees, that's because I don't see an IP. IP is not filed, and that IP is not just India IP, it has to be global IP, it has to be granted. Then only, because not only granted, it also has to have what is called as the freedom to operate, to commercialize. Because just because you have a patent that is granted doesn't mean that you have the freedom to operate. So there are so many things that you have to look into before you can start spinning off or investing into a particular company. Then you have to look at basically the prototyping. You need to have the right management team and mentors. You should get a customer. Without a customer, who will come? If it's a blue sky research, then you should meet the customer requirements, growth and then mature stage. That's how you basically build a solid company. So what do investors look for? 3 things. People. It's all about people. So build a strong management team, build a strong board, build a strong scientific advisory board, build a strong industry advisory board. If you look at some of the companies, startup companies here, husband is the founder, wife is the co-founder. Finish. The problems in startup company will come into the living house, into the house, and that's it. 2 days the husband will not have food because there is disagreement on how to run the company. The last thing you have to do is get your better half as a co-founder in your company. Keep these 2 things separate. Keep these 2 things separate. Your love for your co-founder should be at home. Your love for your company should be outside. You should be very clear about your priorities. You should be extremely clear about how you want to run your business. It has to be run in a professional manner. And try to get friends or people who are competent so that you can fire in case if they don't perform, right? So you don't have to think twice. When you get relatives or when you get your better house, it's difficult. Relations get spoiled. So you have to basically focus on building the right management team. Then you need to basically understand the market. Build up. How many of you have built a business plan for your startup or for your idea? A business plan is different from a research plan. What is the difference between a research plan and a business plan? Anybody? What is the difference between a research plan and a business plan? Many of you must have written research plans for getting funding from institute or so. What is a business plan? What is it different? Amma cheppan miru? Yeah, that's correct. But fundamentally, I'll tell you what is the main difference. And the main difference is, like all of you who have actually written a research plan, you first write the entire work and then you put the conclusion in the last. Correct? That's what is written in a research plan. Anni Mahabharatam first pen rastaru, tarvata conclusion pedtaru. Correct? But in a business plan, conclusion you bring in the first. Because investors are highly impatient people. They suffer from what is called as ADHD. In the first 5 minutes, if you don't catch the attention of an investor with your technology, with your idea, with your vision, with your X factor, or the way you articulate, they get put off. They don't want to invest. We see so many business plans in a week. In a week, do you know how many business plans I evaluate? Close to about 40 to 50 in a week. I don't have the time to basically come to a conclusion myself. I want to know what is your conclusion. And then when I ask how much funding you need, like this, the answers are never given clearly. Arey Baba, when you want to ask boldly. If you don't ask, even God will not come and help you. When a baby wants milk, the baby cries, and then the mother knows, okay, I have to feed the baby. So here also, when you need something, you have to ask. If you don't ask, and that is what, this is a professional way of asking. And so you have to put everything in a summary, you have to put it right at the beginning. So one of the things I want to tell all of you is that please practice how to write a summary. A summary cannot be a PhD thesis of 100 pages. It has to be in 2 pages, maximum 2 pages, 1 to 2 pages. To put everything into 1 to 2 pages is extremely difficult. So learn to write that and learn to articulate that. I'll tell you how I used to articulate. When I was initially new as a young officer, I would go in front of a mirror and practice, talk to myself. And that's how I would practice. So that's how I overcome stage fear. That's how I overcome the challenge of actually articulating your views to your seniors. Because when you're talking to a senior person, you get overwhelmed and you cannot express. It's like standing in front of Swami. The brain gets shut down. That Swami is different, okay? That's a different energy. But when you're standing in front of a senior who's a human being and not Swami, you should be confident enough. So that's what, and last is about technology. So you see, the science always comes last. It doesn't come in the front. Technology has to be strong. It has to be patented. It has to be novel. It has to be disruptive. But then investors don't look at just the technology around. If technology only was the criteria for commercialization, then all Nobel laureates would have become billionaires by now. And I just told you earlier that I was fortunate to lose money in 2 Nobel laureates, startup companies. So Nobel laureates will not make money for you. You need to know the art of making money through essentially building a little bit of everything else. So how do you promote this? This is my mantra. This is what I actually specialize. This is what I teach in business schools in UK, France, Singapore, Sweden, everywhere. This is what I teach, is you need to understand how to plan your business, which means that you have to come up with 2 components, strategic review and planning and financial review and planning. Amma babai, chala kashtam idi. Yes, it will be difficult initially, but if you keep on practicing, and if sir allows me to give more boot camps, I'll go into a detailed session as to how to do a business planning. I'll ensure that each one of you who wants to come up with a startup or a spin-off will have a business plan. And that business plan, pakka you will get investment, 200%. This is Dr. Anand Govindaluri's guarantee. And that's what we do. We produce world-class business plans, and through the business plans, essentially prepare our founders to get money. Just last week, I got the good news that one of my startup companies got funding or got a term sheet for $1 million US. Just 2 years back, one of my other startup companies got funding for $10 million. So it's happening. So we are succeeding because we have prepared that scenario. So you need to have a vision, mission. You need to have vision, mission. Then you also actually understand what is the science and product analysis, industry and peer analysis. This is important. Before you get into a particular commercialization stage, you should understand who are your competition, who is the industry member who is working in that space, who are your peer groups, what is the business model, what kind of marketing plan, commercialization plan. So this component involves strategic review and planning. And finally, then you need to have the financial review and planning, because investors need that understanding as to what is your game plan to generate revenues. Especially in biotech, it's very difficult because it takes a long time. The gestation period is very long. I'll give you some examples as to how I have made some investments in biotech. And finally, you come up with the business plan. Plans are nothing, but planning is everything. This is also one of my favorite slides, is because you need to have risk management strategies put in place. Go, no-go market strategies. So let's say, for example, you're developing a product, and that product actually involves multiple steps. At each step, come up with a go, no-go market strategy. So if it is a no-go, then go to the next product. So you don't burn your money, everything in one. Most of the times what happens is that you put your money in one project and the project fails and that's it. You don't have anything else. So you should plan your projects in such a manner so that you're able to essentially categorize, prioritize the different projects that you have. And then an exit happens. An exit happens through different mechanisms, through public listing, through mergers and acquisitions, asset sale, buyback, dividend payout. So all these things we actually help with a founder once we invest in a founder or in a startup. So what is an executive summary? I told you what an executive summary is. So you have to write in the front. The first and foremost is that you should put at the start of the business plan. It must be crisp and precise, not more than 2 pages. You must articulate the vision and the mission. What is vision? What is mission? What is vision? What is mission? Vision is essentially the goal, and mission is very good. And next is about clearly mention the value proposition and the strength of the team in a positive term. Investment required and estimated ballpark valuation. You must know what is the money that you require to commercialize and what kind of valuation you want to essentially. This also we teach how to determine the valuation of a particular company. Then define the exit strategy, the time of exit. So you must tell the investor clearly whether you want the money for 5 years, 6 years, 8 years. So the investor also knows, okay, he's well prepared. He knows that, okay, this is what is going to happen in the next 5 years, and this is the plan. So you have to communicate with the investor in a transparent manner so that he and she is able to cooperate and collaborate with you and help you in your funding. Most of the times we cannot fund, or we don't fund because we don't know what is running in your mind. Everything is there in the mind, but not on the paper. You have to bring from the mind to the paper. Next is about define the exit strategy. Do not lead with broad sweeping statements about the market opportunity. I'll tell you what I mean by that. I was looking at a business plan. They're working on Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is a global problem, and it is actually a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. So when I asked, what is the valuation of the company? He says, since it is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity, my company must be worth $1 billion. Come on. You're a startup, you're valuing yourself at $1 billion just because you are working on Alzheimer's or a neural problem. You won't be able to get that kind of valuation from an investor. What you have to do is you have to come up with an addressable market. And that addressable market is called TAM, total addressable market. Once you're able to find that market or you address that market, then within that you have to do the valuation analysis. What matters is not a market size, but rather the compelling pain. Investors would rather invest in a company solving a desperate problem for a small growing market rather than a company providing an incremental improvement for a large established market. What I mean by this is that your solution should be disruptive, not just incremental. Most of the times in scientists, some are not Swami students, but many others, they drop names. They like to drop names. So avoid dropping names. Use simple sentences and explain your company last and most important point as you would do it to a friend in a cocktail party. If you're able to articulate your idea to your grandmother, to your grandfather, or to your parents, and they're able to understand and appreciate what you're doing, then I think you're on the road to success. Because the most, like what Narayan Murthy sir has said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So you have to simplify with all the mumbo jumbo languages of science and technology, simplify in a manner so that the investors can understand. At Harvard, they teach this, what they choose to invest. Team A with a product B or team B with a product A. Where do you invest? If you have a product which is B category, but the team of A category versus a product that is A category, but a team which is B category, where do you invest? What type of companies do you invest? Team A, not team B. Team A. Team A. Good. Team A, but product B. And the classic example for this is Genentech. How many of you have know about these two people? Who are these two people? ఆయన పేరేంటి వాళ్ళ పేర్లు ఏమిటి? One of them is a scientist, the other is a banker. Who's a scientist, who's a banker? The one who's not wearing a tie is a scientist, correct? And the one who's got not cut his hair, okay, he's a scientist. The one who is neatly trimmed is a banker. So how did this two people, who are these two people? 1976. మీరు పుస్తకాలు చదవాలమ్మా, మీరు చదవట్లేదు మీరు. I can see that from your facial expressions. I can see that you're not studying enough. You have to read books, okay? So this is essentially what happened in 1976, okay? Herb Boyer, who's a scientist at UCSF, okay, came up with the technology for recombinant DNA, published a paper, and immediately that paper was picked up by a banker named Bob Swanson. He read the paper, he was excited, then he picked up the phone, called Herb Boyer for a drink. They met at Churchill Bar in San Francisco, downtown, and that's how the birth of Genentech took place. They approached an investor by name Boyer and Kleiner Perkins. He put in $100,000. In a garage of Kleiner Perkins, the birth of Genentech took place. Genentech is one of the most successful biotech companies till Amgen came up. Now today number one biotech company is Amgen, but till then Genentech. Now what happened to Genentech? Genentech essentially was acquired by Roche in 2009 for $90 billion. There are how many zeros after 90? 9 zeros. They started with 100,000 in 1976. There are two things that I want to tell you here from the story of Genentech. Please read the book Genentech. Please read the book Genentech. It will tell you about how Genentech was born. They came up with a business plan, but it was not followed because it didn't implement, it didn't materialize. It was the team, the people who actually navigated through the challenges. And they were able to they came up with a new business model, and the business model was to take the company to public. They became one of the first biotech companies to go public. It was the most successful biotech company during that time. And later, they wanted to raise money. They were not getting money. So they said that they're going to license their technology. And through licensing of the technology, they raised capital to an industry partner. So not just here now, but even from 1970s onwards, industry partnership is the only way you can actually have a very successful ecosystem for academic collaboration. So the second request I want to make our Vice Chancellor, sir, is let us dedicate 2 floors just for industry. If each floor is about 15,000 square feet of space, divide that floor into 3,000, 5,000 square feet of space each, and get about 5 to 6 industries. Rent them out. So not only you have industry coming in, taking it as a rent, but also through the CSR, they will actually contribute. They'll donate. And that's how we will build our incubator. Number 2, the first advice was given was basically to build a technology transfer office. Second is to go for university industry collaborations. Now, what type of industry to invite? The type of industry to invite would be those what you all PIs and scientists are working on. So if you're working on cancer, get a cancer-related company. If you're working on, say, diagnostics, get a diagnostic-related company. If you're working on, say, on photoluminescence, get a photoluminescence type company. So everything starts with you or with us. And our field of work will define what kind of industry that we should bring in. And accordingly, we build what is called as the cluster. This is one of my portfolio companies, BioX. 2 people, University College London. The one on the right is Professor David Latchman. He was a professor of virology at University College London. The one on the left is Dr. Rob Coffin. I can never forget his family name, Coffin. But he's an assistant professor. He was a fresh assistant, just joined the lab of David Latchman. What were they working on? They were working on how to modify the herpes simplex viral genome for the treatment of cancer. So they were working on cancer vaccines. And this was my first investment in 2001 that I made. But now when I looked at that investment and I did the due diligence on the data, I came back to Singapore. Okay, I recommended to my bosses. It was rejected, shut down. They said, Anand, revenue is negative, EBITDA negative, PAT negative. After 5 years, you say that it's going to become big because there will be some licensing opportunity. It doesn't really sound too real. Sorry, we cannot invest. I go back to my bench, I do some more research, some more homework, I look at the data, I talk to some more experts. I'm convinced that the future of therapy is going to be cell therapy and gene therapy, which is the case now. But this story is in 2001. And what happened is the second time again I go back to my investment committee. Second time again I was shot down, rejected. I go back, obviously I'm disillusioned because as a young junior officer, when you are rejected by your bosses, you feel disappointed. Third time, then I went and then they said, okay, fine, we will make the investment, and that's how the investment came in that company. Fast forward, 8 years down the lane, the company got acquired by Amgen for $1 billion. What I'm trying to tell you is that you will face rejections in life. People who don't understand who you are or your intellect, they will essentially, they'll find it difficult to match to where you are. So rejections are part and parcel of any, I would say, career. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, his first project was a failure. Then subsequently, no failure seen at all. So you should not be scared of failures. You should not be afraid of rejections. Of course, feedback that you get from your seniors, try to take them in a positive manner and see if you can work around it and then prove that you're right. There's something that happened when I was making the due diligence. After my due diligence was over in London, I actually went to SSSIHL Centre in London. Because in the evening, I didn't have anything to do much. So I did a Google, SSSIHL Centre London, came the name of Gordhan Bhai Patel. And I picked up the phone and said, brother, I'm Sai brother from Singapore. I would like to come and spend some time with you, do satsang. I'm on an official work, I finished my official work, I want to do some. They said, brother, we don't have SSSIHL Centre, only at the home we have the SSSIHL Centre where the bhajans are being conducted. If you want, you can come. It was quite far away, but I went all the way to Middlesex in London from my hotel. The moment I entered, what I see is vibhuti everywhere. It was bliss. Brother Patel and his wife, they were so loving, elderly couple. They fed me. And then I went to their altar. They took me to the altar inside. Honey coming out of Lord Shiva's statue, vibhuti coming out of. Swami's portrait, and Vibhuti is not small Vibhuti, oozing out in tons and tons. And then Shirdi Sai, I saw gold coins coming out. Gold coins, I have that picture. I can share that picture with you, share to you. And that was actually the most phenomenal period of my life. That is the time when I realized that this is how I have to do. So morning time, do work. Evening time, when you're by yourself, go to Sai Center. That's how I used to spend my time. So all the various countries, wherever I went, I would go to the various Sai Centers in the evening after my work, do satsang, talk to them. So I met billionaires who were plumbers. I met billionaires who were plumbers. I met extraordinary people whose house got damaged and destroyed in fire in Sri Lanka, except for Swami's altar. I heard innumerable stories of women who were trying to conceive with great difficulty. They were having difficulty in having children, and finally with Swami's blessings, they were blessed. How they were blessed is that in the ultrasound image, when they went for scanning, they saw Swami's picture there. Those pictures are there with me. In Paris, Swami said, the Paris coordinator, Satyasai coordinator basically said that we want to invite Swami. So they came to Puttaparthi. And they invited Swami. Swami said, okay, I'll come for the conference. It's supposed to be a big thing because in Europe normally those days, especially those years, I think there's a little bit of resistance, right? Because they don't understand who Swami is. So the Seva councils in Paris, they were organizing this conference to create the awareness about Swami's message, Swami's work. Swami said, okay, I'll come. The conference started, it ended. Swami didn't come. The coordinator was very upset. So those days what happens is that they've taken photographs. So they were developing the photographs. Those days is not digital. The photographs were developed. This happened in Paris. They were shocked to see Swami at every entrance of the photograph. It's for real. I've seen this with my eyes. Every story I'm telling in front of Swami, I'm telling is I've seen with my eyes. I have those photographs. So when after my due diligence was over, I went to the Sai Center to do the bhajan and do the satsang. I didn't know that this would be a unicorn. So to be successful in life, it is not hard work. It is luck. And to get luck, you need to have divine intervention. Please understand, successful people are those who are lucky, plus hard work, plus divine intervention. And divine intervention is either in the form of Swami. Now that Swami is not there physically with us, your parents, your mother and your father is a living God. So I have not told this to anybody. You are the first people who know this story about why Biovix became a unicorn. People think I was intelligent, but no. I was at the right place at the right time, chanting the name of Swami. Then the rest is all about science, product analysis. Many of the times what happens is that when scientists talk to investors, they have a habit of talking too much of science and they put the investor to sleep. I've seen that. Many times business plan, pitching competition, scientist talks, keep on talking and talking and talking and talking. No relevance. Just about science, put to sleep. Papa, the investor is not interested in you. He's interested in how to make money out of you. So you should know a little bit of everything, you know. You should be a diplomat. So that's why what I encourage scientists is, initially when you do a pitching to an investor, don't talk too much about science. Come up with a picture or come up with a video. That's why I kept that video initially, because I know that I'm talking to all of you who may or may not have knowledge about commercialization. So that's why I wanted to show that video so that it speaks about the work I've done in Singapore, and then it becomes easier for me to articulate what I want to achieve. How much time I have? Sir, how much time do I have? Finished? Wind up. Yeah, no, I'll just finish it off. There are quite a few other slides and interesting stories I want to share, but in the interest of time, I'm not able to go to. This is a detailed, I would say, presentation, because I was told it's like a workshop, so I prepared in detail. But one point I want to share with all of you is that you need to have a mentor. An industry mentor is a must, whether you want to spin off, whether you want to license, or whether you want to commercialize into a startup. Because like what has been articulated in the video, the mentor will help you to pitch to investors. The mentor will help you to prepare a business plan. The mentor will also help you to come up with a roadmap for commercialization. How much things can you do? You have to do research, you have to do admin work, you have to do teaching, then you have to manage your family, and then you have to pray to Swami. So it's too much to expect from our scientists, brothers and sisters, to do everything. You're not Superman. You cannot do everything. Realize that. Your job is to come up with innovations and then find a person who has got the same resemblance or same value systems. The value system is important. Then come up with a strategy to commercialize and let him or her carry that path of commercialization. That's the way to go about. And this usually we do through mentors. This is what worked for me when I was in Singapore. This is how you have to do a product competitive analysis, SWOT analysis. What is SWOT? How many of you have done SWOT of yourself? You have done SWOT of yourself? SWOT, of yourself. Very good. Very nice. I'm very proud of you. Very good. I would like every PI, every researcher who want to actually succeed or who want to basically do something in science and business of science to do a SWOT first of themselves. You must know who you are. You must know who you are. At very early stage, I knew who I was. Because I know who I was, where my heart was, I went myself and went into that direction. So you have to know what is it that you want to do. You want to be a scientist, you want to publish papers, you want to essentially teach well, or you want to be a good businessman, or you want to be just a devotee of Swami. Choose your path. Don't try to do everything at one time. Many times you confuse yourself, you confuse your partner, you confuse your parents, everybody gets confused. Then they say, "Enduku ne pelli chestunnaru sir." Correct? Yeah, but normally, sir, what happens is that a successful devotee is one who is clear about, even Swami, God also chooses the right people for his work. He will not choose everyone. There are billions of people who come to Puttaparthi. There are billions of people who come to Puttaparthi, right? Billions of followers. How come Swami essentially chooses where to go, who to pinpoint, and who to pick for his mission? Because Swami also is a good businessman. He wants the right people to come who will donate, the right people to come who will build the hospital, the right people to come who will do the seva, the right people to come who have the right mindset, the right people to come who will basically. So even the God also wants competent people. So you have to be competent. There's no other way. You have to be competent. And for that, what I'm sharing with you is one part of the overall ecosystem. It's a package. Life is a package. A little bit of everything you have to do. So this is one part of that, not the only thing in life. Then there are different business models, business strategies. How do you basically approach funding? Initially, when you have an idea, don't go for a VC funding. You should try to get money from your friends, from your relatives, those who believe in you. Only when you're developed to a certain stage, or from your university, or from grants, then you should approach a VC. Usually a VC comes in at a mid-stage company, not at an early stage company. See, angel investor is one who comes in with money around 1 lakh to about, say, 10 lakhs, 50 lakhs. Okay, he comes at a very early stage. He knows because, okay, it's like this. Okay, I know Dr. Pradeep, I know Dr. Srikanth, I know ABC. So I trust. I don't see too much of your business plan. I just trust you, and I come in as an angel investment because the big plan that you're sharing, he believes in you. But a VC is one who will do due diligence. He'll want to know everything. When I do a due diligence on my startup companies, I want to know everything about that startup founder, that startup company, including the bank account statements. So I'm very thorough in my due diligence. Based on that, then I take a decision whether to invest or not, because our check size are bigger. So you have angel investment, then you have VCs, and then you have private equity investors whose check size is all the more bigger. Private equity investors usually come at late stage. VCs will come at late, early, mid stage. And angel investors will come at a very early stage. then you should know what type of, we don't have time now to talk about what type of shares and use of proceeds. It's a different exercise, but I'll end with one or two models as to how you can raise money. You don't have to start a company for everything. What you can do, if you have an asset, you can put in an SPV, and that example I've given is that of Celgene out of US, who are actually partnered with an investor by name Varsant Ventures. So let's say hypothetically the investor is Govin Capital here. So you have an asset or you have two assets. You can put that in a basket. You can invite us. We'll decide how much money is required to develop that to a certain stage of value inflection. Do that, and then we have an arrangement. If you make 10 rupees, okay, 3 rupees will come to us, 7 rupees will come to you. Something like that. Or there can be a royalty arrangement, or there can be some revenue sharing arrangement. This is a model that is working quite well, so you don't have to do a startup. It's an SPV model. So this model is actually doing very well because in biotech, the risk of failure is very high. The gestation period is also very long. So not everybody want to invest into a gestation period, into a long gestation period biotech company. Medtech also the same. But if you're doing digital health, it's very different. Digital health, the gestation period is only about 3 to 4 years. So it depends on what type of company that you're working on. So what is my recommendation for Puttaparthi? 2 or 3 recommendations. Number 1, focus on building a bio ecosystem. The policymakers of this university must build world-class innovation policies. The first and foremost is come up with your own policy for innovation. Number 2 is come up with your own policy for conflict or managing conflict of interest. Come up with your own policy for essentially managing innovation. Come up with your own policy for sharing the upside, who gets how much. If this clarity is there, then the researcher is more confident. You need to build that confidence and trust to the researchers. That in case if you do commercialization, this is what will come to you, this is what the institute will take, this is what university will get. Like that, that clarity of sharing will be there. Second is you need to invest in having skilled management team. Either you develop in-house or you get from outside. You should have access to catalytic capital, not just capital, catalytic capital. Capital where the investor is willing to spend time and work with you. Mentorship support, partnerships with clinics and industry. And these are how you can build a very strong blueprint for catalyzing the industry. So what we need is a 5P model. 5P is public-private partnerships, focused on product and focused on people. Public, private partnerships, focused on people and focused on product. 5 P's. This 5P, if you implement correctly in Puttaparthi, it will lead to 5I. What is 5I? Innovation, investments, industry, indigenous product development, interoperability of data. Because you're going to generate so much of data. And we are blessed. You have an academic institute of excellence, you have a hospital, and then Bangalore is close by. So many devotees are coming to Puttaparthi. Some of them are investors. So that ecosystem is what you have to develop. You need to have a strong digital ecosystem to attract all these elements together. So in conclusion, I would like to share that before you start any company, please remember some of these ground rules. Never judge a book by its cover. What do I mean by that? Just because somebody cannot speak English doesn't mean that is not good. Somebody doesn't have a PhD doesn't mean that is not good or he cannot innovate. The example I've given them is Matrix Labs. It's a company in Hyderabad, they're into pharma manufacturing. Most of the scientists are from Andhra University, local Hyderabad University, or nobody from Stanford or nobody from Oxford, Cambridge, no foreign degrees. Very simple, down to earth, but they knew the subject very well. The company got acquired by a company called Mylan for $1.1 billion. This is my second unicorn exit. This investment also I identified. So you need to have the knack to identify. Again, I'll tell you one more story which I have not shared with anyone. When I was going to meet the CEO of this company, the first thing I observed was Shirdi Sai Baba. Everywhere I get signs whether the investment will be successful or not. To what extent we don't know. But yes, I remember even now that the first picture I saw was, and his office is in Sairam Towers. How it has happened, I don't know, but it has happened. The universe will all converge to help you to succeed. All that glitters is not gold. I've already told that noble lyrics are not the only way to make money. You don't have to be a deep tech scientist to make money. Third is make hay while the sun shines. What I mean by that is that you should always plan with the end in the beginning. It doesn't matter whether the cat is white or black. Can the cat catch the mice? Same thing. You should know how to make money. Brand your invention. You should try to brand yourself. Too modest, too simple doesn't work in this world. You're in a Kali Yuga. When God also wants to, he has to market himself. How does the Swami market himself? Through Leelas. Why does he have to produce Vibhuti? Yes, written. How many of you have read Sai Vayanis? In one of the Sai Vayanis, he has mentioned why he produces Vibhuti. That's because that's the way that he can attract a human being in a human form. Because our mindset is only limited to that. We see something which is magical there, attracted. So he must be God. Like that. So Swami knows all these things. So that's why he's done. So that's why what is important is you have to find a way to brand your work. How do you brand? Participate in conferences, participate in on LinkedIn. Where are you on LinkedIn? Where are you on LinkedIn? I saw a LinkedIn post about my talk through the university. But each one of you must come up with at least one article on LinkedIn. From now on, I'm going to follow all of you on LinkedIn and see what is it that you're doing. Because it is important for you to write. Dr. Pallavoro Garu, he recently asked me to write. So I have written an article on democratizing healthcare. Only for him. So that it can be published in our journal. How many of you have read that article? Only one person has read. Why? Too busy in Swami's devotion. So much devotion is also not good. Got a little bit materialistic. If you're too devoted also, Swami also finds it very difficult. But a little bit materialistic, because you're in this world, no? We have to make some money, no? But to tell our Vice Chancellor, sir, we are good. We're making some money, so we can contribute. Because we are all run by donations. There's no magic wand. So how do we basically generate wealth? Only through the startups. The startups, when they become basically successful, or when our technologies are commercialized, or when we get an industry partner, the money comes in. So if say $1 is coming, you can then talk to VC sir. VC sir is very good, sir. If he says, I'll only give it 10%, sir, 20% even, intlo problems, so he'll say, okay, take 20%. 80% will come to the institute. He will not say no. Yeah. So he's very, very understanding. So I think when you have an understanding leader, you also have to find a way to basically work hard to essentially give back. Then create jobs. Last but not the least, this year I've taken a vow that I'm going to launch my experiences in the form of a book. Please be on the lookout for this book. It's called The Investor's DNA. It's about how all my stories and experiences. This book is very different from other books because it doesn't talk only about success stories. It also talks about failures. And one of the reasons I failed in 20 companies, is because of only one reason, man. The Swami's book is that man management. Please read that book. Not once, not twice, not thrice, 10 times. In fact, keep it in your book, in your bag. Every day you read one chapter. That man management will tell you how to deal with human beings. So the 20 failures, my next book is about my failures. Why I failed. It talks about why. So the only one reason why I failed is because of the founder. Either the founder is too nice, no use for me. I want a founder who's a little bit shrewd. He knows how to make money. If you're too nice, no good. Either the founder is too stingy. He's got money, but he doesn't want to spend money. Or the founder is too jealous and too greedy, backstabbing other co-founders. Or recently, one of our Sai devotee members basically raised hundreds of crores for his startup company. All the investors got zero. Because he burnt his money completely. He didn't know anything about finance. I've been telling that founder, learn finance, learn finance, learn finance. He said, no, brother, don't require. Swami is there. Swami is there. He will guide me. What will Swami do if you don't know finance? Finish. All the major investors who invested in his company, they lost money. Please don't misuse the name of Swami. I'm very sad because in the name of Swami, so many wrong things are happening. In the name of Swami, people are having dual personalities. Saying Sairam outside, opening bottle in the evening. I've seen that. It is a price that you are going to pay very heavily. And it will happen in some other form. How it will happen? Your better half will fall sick, or you lose money in business, or you will suffer because of ill health. Swami has his own ways of teaching a lesson to everybody. My humble request to each and every one of you is, the business of commercialization is a very noble and a pious journey, but it can be equally polluting. Man's downfall happens only because of 3 W's: wine, women, and wealth. When you have too much of wealth, it is dangerous. It leads you to diabetes of the soul. That is why we as Swami's devotees have a responsibility to be not only be a role model for the world, but also a role model for our immediate loved ones and family members. Because once you lose your name, very difficult for you to get the name back. You can earn your money back, but not the name. Sairam. No, we can take a picture here, selfie. Want to come across 3 continents on LinkedIn, please come in the selfie. Across 3 continents. Maybe you have to stand up. Please come, everyone must come into that frame. Try to come up there together. Sairam, please come. That side, please come side inside. Please come here. Sairam. Okay, 1, 2, 3. No, 1, 2, 3. And make this one is this one.
Assemble back 11:25 session.